In the deep, mist-covered heart of a forgotten village, so ancient that even the map stopped showing it, there lies a drum. But not just any drum. This one is carved from the roots of a tree that no longer grows, forged in silence, and cursed in secrecy. It doesn't need hands to beat it. It doesn't need air to echo. It plays itself. The villagers call it the drum of forgotten names. And they whisper that whenever it begins to play, someone disappears. And when the rhythm stops, that person is never seen again. They say the drum is not an instrument, but a tomb. It was on one of those rare nights, when the moon hovered low and wide like an ancient eye, that 16-year-old Amma first heard the drum's call. She was lying in bed, her eyes wide open, listening. The sound was faint at first, like footsteps in a dream. Then it grew, slow, deliberate, full of a sorrow too heavy for words. But here's the question: if a drum plays for the forgotten, then who decides who should be forgotten? Alma's brother, Ekon, had returned to the village just days earlier. He had spent years in the city, where myths were bedtime stories, and spirits were punchlines. He laughed at the elders' tales, scoffed at sacred warnings, and dismissed curses like broken clocks ticking for attention. But Alma had always believed. She remembered the old stories, the ones whispered under breath, only when no fire burned and no outsider listened. Stories of a sacred tree called the Tree of Memory, whose roots wove beneath the land like veins through a body. The drum, it was said, was carved from that very wood. When it beat, it didn't just echo through the village, it pulled at the spirits of those long erased, long wronged. Some said it called for justice. Others said it called for vengeance. That night, when the beat grew louder, Alma felt her chest tighten, not in fear, but in something stranger. A pull. A calling. She rose, bare feet meeting cold earth, and stepped outside. The fog clung to her skin like breath. The drum was waiting. It drew her toward the forest. Toward Esh's Vale, a place even elders feared to name in daylight. They said it was where the past slept, and sometimes woke. Alma entered the forest. The trees swallowed her. The sound swallowed everything else. She was never seen again. The next morning, the village stirred. Quietly. Uneasily. But Alma's bed was empty. Her room untouched. Ekon ran through the village, voice hoarse from shouting her name. But the villagers looked away. Some shut their doors. Others pretended not to hear. Their silence was not ignorance. It was guilt. Ekon begged the elders for answers. One of them, his face as cracked as the ground, whispered, "The drum plays when justice is denied." What justice? What had been denied? Ekon was desperate. He wandered into the forest, retracing what he believed were Alma's steps. There, in the ruins of an ancient hut, he found something chilling, an old wooden panel, aged by rain and time, etched with names. Most were scratched out, erased as though they had never lived. At the very bottom were two names. Alma. Ekon. Still intact. For now. He showed it to the elders. They dismissed it, said it was just old wood. All except Nana Aba, the village's oldest soul. She looked at him with tired, knowing eyes. The drum plays when justice is denied, she said again. But what justice? What injustice had been buried beneath their silence? That night, the drum returned. But it was louder. Closer. Ekon felt it before he heard it. The beat crawled along his spine like a cold wind. He followed it, out of the village, past the trees, to the edge of a place he didn't know existed. There, half buried in twisted roots, was Amma's necklace. Its delicate silver pendant now tangled in the forest floor. But the ground looked disturbed. As if something had pushed up from beneath. Then, the drum pulsed again. And everything fell quiet. That night, Ekon dreamed. He saw a woman in shadow. No face. Only a mouth, stitched shut with thread as black as pitch. Her hands motioned toward the drum. It sat in front of her, beating slowly, like a heart too tired to go on. Then the ground split beneath him. He fell into a void, where faces stared back. Thousands. Eyes empty. Mouths whispering. Names. Forgotten names. He woke gasping. But the drum hadn't stopped. It had moved. It was now inside him. Inside his thoughts. He returned to the forest the next day. The pull was unbearable. The rhythm a scream he couldn't silence. Deep within Esh's vale, he found a clearing. At its center stood a shrine. And at the heart of it, the drum. No hands touched it. Yet it played. Beside it, stood a girl. Her face veiled in shadow. Her mouth sewn. She didn't speak. But she didn't need to. Ekon knew her name. Zuba. A girl who vanished decades ago. Erased from village memory. She raised a hand, and Ekon was overwhelmed by visions, of betrayal. Of silence. Of elders who sacrificed children to protect their secrets. He knelt before the drum. He did what no one dared. He spoke her name. Zuba. The drum stopped. And the forest fell silent. From the trees came a voice. Ekon, help me. He turned, and there stood Amma. But, she was different. Her eyes empty. Her body pale. She was here, but not fully. He reached for her, but her image flickered. Like memory. Like smoke. The elders finally confessed. They had hidden the truth. Sacrificed souls. Forgotten names to protect the living. They erased people from time, thinking it would end the curse. But it only gave the drum more names to claim. Amma was now one of them. A keeper. A soul bound to the drum. Forced to remember every forgotten name. But never speak them. And then, in Ekon's hut, he found something else. A new drum. Fresh. Its shell not carved from wood, but from bone. Its surface, skin. Human. His name had been scratched off the panel. The drum had chosen him. But he wasn't afraid. He knew what he had to do. Because sometimes, to break a curse, you have to remember the names everyone else tried to forget. And now. You've heard them too. Would you survive the curse of the drum? Comment your answer below, and don't forget to subscribe for part 2, The Keeper's Curse, coming soon.